Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my video. Today we're going to talk about gravity-fed oil stoves or heaters. I could not find any videos that go into detail how to start it up, how to maintain it. So we're going to talk about how they work, advantages and disadvantages, and how to do a little bit of maintenance on them, because if they're not perfectly maintained, they are a hassle to run, which is not what you want, because you'll get a lot of fumes and it could cause safety issues as well. So from the tank or the reservoir, the oil is going to flow down through a carburetor. So this carburetor, it has a filter, so we'll get to that later, but it flows in the carburetor. There's two little floats. Depending on how the carburetor is regulated, you have a high flame and a low flame adjustment. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but if you are interested, let me know in the comments below and I can make a separate video on that. Once the oil flows through the carburetor, it slowly trickles into the basin, which is inside the actual stove. And it's pretty much that simple. So how do you start one of these things? Well, first of all, you want to make sure all your valves are open, either outside and inside. And then you want to go to the regulator and turn it on to the lowest setting, between 1 or 2 if yours has numbers. And you want to visually look at the bottom of the pan. So open the door, look at the bottom, and you should see the oil trickle out from that hole. It's usually in the back of the pan near the carburetor. Once you see the oil kind of filling the bottom of your pan, you can take a lighter, you could light a piece of paper and you just throw it in the bottom. It should ignite the diesel or the oil, and once it does ignite, you just close the door and wait about 15 minutes till the stove gets hot. You can get these little fire starters from any store, Dollarama or anything. This one here comes in a pack of 12, so they're pretty nice, and that's what the blocks look like. So what it is, it's sawdust or cardboard with a bit of wax. You light that, it's pretty simple, throw it at the bottom. Something like this, very easy to light, and you don't have any risks of losing your flame. Apparently cats love this too, so that's another bonus. So for the chimney, you want to make sure you have a damper. If you do not have a damper on your stove, you can actually install one on the chimney itself. They do have a little adjustment screw. There's a little weight, so you should be able to push that little door and it should open and close freely with a small draft. So that's very important if you don't want, again, that flame to get sucked off the bottom as you're starting it. Very important, if you do have a little cap at the top of your stove like mine here, you want to keep that closed, because the way the stove works is the air gets sucked in from the bottom, this way actually, into the stove. So if you have air coming in from the top or from the side or anything, your stove will not work properly. And what you want to look for is a blue flame that's quite powerful. So you can see here when I open the door, the flame goes yellow and it kind of dances all over the place. And when I close the door, it gets very powerful and blue. And that's what you're looking for, because it's an efficient burn. You don't get any fumes, almost nothing, and you do not smell anything. If you notice that your stove puts out a kind of like a smell, like diesel smell in your house or your cabin, you want to make sure it has a proper seal. So open the door and look around the fireproof seal. Sometimes they get worn out and you have to swap them, so any hardware store you can pick up a new set. Make sure you put nothing underneath. Make sure you have good spacing around your stove, because air is obviously an important part when you want a good burn. You need to make sure when you install them that they're perfectly level. What I do is I choose my iPhone, make sure it's level on 2 sides, you know. Most of them have little legs at the bottom. You can screw and unscrew, make sure it's leveled. If not, you can just put pieces of wood, put shims underneath, but number one is make sure it's level. If not, it'll be tilted and the oil's gonna run on one side or the other, and that's when you get a lot of smoke. You'll get a lot of soot in the chimney. And if you have one with a glass like mine, it's just you won't even see the flame anymore. It's just gonna be covered in soot. and it could be pretty dangerous if you get a lot of those fumes in your shack, cabin, house, or whatever. So make sure it's level. You want to make sure all those holes are unobstructed. So easy way to do it is you just grab any wire brush, obviously while the stove is off, and you clean those holes as much as you can. Take out all the stuff at the bottom out, and it will help it run a lot better. Take out all the crud that's inside. So take a piece of wood, I use a paint stick and I just scrape the bottom. Take all that stuff out because it can clog the holes. And in the back of the oil pan, where the line comes in from the carburetor, there's a hole probably the size of a straw. And that's where the oil slowly trickles in. So you want to make sure that's unobstructed, or else your oil will not fill the pan properly. Another maintenance point is if you look at the back of the stove, there's a little lever. What that does is it cleans out the little hole where the oil goes through and into the pan. So pull it out, push it in, twist it around. You'll feel sometimes it seems like it's stuck, and that's what it's for. You should do this about once a week, minimum once a month. If you use it a lot, don't be afraid. Don't pull it all the way out, but just enough to clean it out. And that should help it quite a bit. Carburetor adjustments, like I said, we could do this in another video. It's once you find the trick, it's easy, but you have 2 little screws to adjust. And the thing with this, I'll just give you a heads up, is every time you adjust a screw, you have to wait for the flame to adjust because there is a delay. So don't adjust the screw thinking it's going to adjust right away. But again, we cover that in another video. Well, first of all, on the gravity fed oil stove, you have a reservoir. So you can have 300-liter tank or whatever you want. And as long as there's oil or diesel in that tank, it should run no problem. So that's the nice thing about these stoves, is you can have them run for days or weeks, even months if you want. You can regulate the temperature with the regulator, which is nice because here in Quebec, it could be either -5 or -40, so having control on temperature is pretty sweet. Another advantage is that you do not need electricity to run it, so you pretty much open the door, throw in a piece of paper that's on fire, and it'll ignite and it'll run non-stop. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, hit that bell for any notifications, and if you want to see anything about ice fishing or gravity-fed oil stoves, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. See you next time.